Elarine was 64 when she stood in front of her mirror one morning and felt a wave of shock wash over her. The woman staring back at her looked tired, drained, and far older than she felt inside. Her clothes no longer fit the way they used to, her shoulders slumped forward, and the sparkle in her eyes had dimmed. It wasn't just about her appearance, it was about how heavy her life had begun to feel. She remembered a time when she walked into a room with confidence, when colors lit up her skin, and when she truly felt alive. Somewhere along the way, she had lost that connection to herself. But what she didn't know yet was that transformation after 60 wasn't about chasing youth, it was about reclaiming her presence, her energy, and her joy. And all it took were 5 surprisingly simple steps. Steps that turned her reflection into someone she recognized again, strong, graceful, and unapologetically herself. If you've ever looked at your own reflection and wondered, when did I start fading into the background? This is for you. Because what Elarine discovered is something every woman deserves to know: it's never too late to reset, and small, intentional changes can unlock an entirely new chapter of life. Her journey isn't just about fashion or health, it's about confidence, about walking taller, glowing brighter, and finally living in alignment with the woman she always wanted to be. Welcome to Ageless Style for women over 60. If you believe every decade should be your most confident, radiant, and empowered yet, then I invite you to hit subscribe, like this video, and join our graceful community of women rewriting the rules of aging. Stay with me, because the 5 steps that transformed Elarine's body and life after 60 might just be the reset you've been searching for too. Step 1: The posture reset. Elarine's transformation began with something so simple that most women overlook it: posture. For years, she had accepted the gradual slump in her shoulders as just a part of aging. Long days at home, hours spent reading, and the habit of hunching slightly forward made her frame collapse inward. She didn't realize how much this subtle shift was affecting not just her appearance, but her mood, her energy, and even the way others saw her. When she caught a candid photo of herself at a family gathering, she was stunned. Her body looked smaller, compressed, almost as if she was shrinking before her time. The clothes she loved no longer hung the way they once did. Her blouses sagged at the neckline, her dresses lost their natural flow, and instead of looking elegant, she looked weighed down. What shocked her most wasn't the picture itself, it was how accurately it reflected how she felt inside: tired, closed off, and less vibrant than she truly was. That moment became her turning point. She realized that posture wasn't just about standing tall, it was about reclaiming her presence. A slouched posture sent a silent message of exhaustion, while an aligned, open stance carried grace, confidence, and vitality. This wasn't about trying to look younger, it was about showing up fully as herself. So, Elarine decided to make one tiny change. Each morning, before starting her day, she stood against a wall with her heels, hips, shoulders, and head gently pressing back. At first, it felt strange, almost unnatural. But as she practiced, something remarkable began to happen. Her chest opened, her shoulders relaxed, and her breath flowed more freely. She felt taller, lighter, and more grounded in her own skin. Even her face looked different, as if the tension had melted away. Over time, this simple daily reset had a ripple effect. Clothes she once thought she had outgrown suddenly looked better, simply because they draped the way they were meant to. Walking into a room, she no longer blended into the background. Friends noticed she carried herself differently. Her daughter even remarked, "Mom, you look radiant, like you've lifted a weight off your shoulders," and in truth, she had. This shift wasn't about chasing perfection. It was about aligning her body with her spirit. By lifting herself up physically, she was lifting herself emotionally too. Elarine learned that posture is a silent but powerful statement. It tells the world whether you're retreating from life or stepping into it with strength. She didn't just look taller, she felt lighter. And in that lightness, she discovered the first step to transformation after 60 wasn't about buying new clothes or starting an intense routine. It was about standing tall, breathing deeply, and choosing to carry herself with the dignity she deserved. Step 2: A color awakening. For much of her 60s, Elarine thought she was playing it safe with her wardrobe. Beige cardigans, gray slacks, soft taupes, colors she believed were age-appropriate. She told herself they were timeless, understated, and practical. But over time, something unexpected happened. Even on days when she was feeling healthy and rested, people often commented, "Are you feeling okay? You look a little pale today." At first, she brushed it off as nothing. But deep down, those words stayed with her. How could she feel well on the inside yet look so drained on the outside? One afternoon, her granddaughter asked to play dress-up with her scarves. Laughing, Elarine wrapped a deep teal silk scarf around her neck. She caught her reflection in the mirror and froze. The shift was instant. The rich jewel tone brightened her silver hair, softened the lines around her face, and gave her skin a warmth she hadn't seen in years. It was as though she had flipped on a hidden light switch. For the first time in ages, she didn't look pale or washed out. She looked alive. That small moment opened her eyes to something she had forgotten: color is energy. The shades we wear don't just cover us, they interact with our skin, our hair, and even our mood. By leaning into grays and beiges, she had unintentionally muted her natural beauty. But with vibrant jewel tones, plum, coral, sapphire blue, her reflection finally matched the lively spirit she carried inside. At first, she felt nervous stepping out in brighter hues. Would people think she was trying too hard? But the opposite happened. Friends told her she looked radiant, like she had taken a long vacation. Strangers complimented her scarf, her blouse, even her lipstick, though she hadn't changed a thing about her makeup. That was the most powerful realization: it wasn't makeup that brought her glow back. It was color. From that point on, Elarine built small pops of vibrancy into her everyday outfits. A plum cardigan instead of a beige one. A coral blouse under a neutral jacket. Teal earrings that caught the light. None of it felt overwhelming or forced, but each piece gave her an extra spark of confidence. She discovered something every woman over 60 deserves to know: wearing color isn't about being loud. It's about being seen. The right shades lift not just your look, but your spirit. When Elarine walked into a room in her new jewel-toned pieces, she no longer blended into the background. She stood out, in the best possible way. Her reflection had changed. Not because she reinvented herself, but because she finally allowed her natural glow to shine. And in doing so, she proved a simple truth: beauty after 60 isn't found in covering yourself up. It's found in the courage to let your colors show. Step 3: The shoe revelation. For years, Elarine believed that the bulkier the shoe, the safer it must be. She stocked her closet with stiff orthopedic pairs that promised maximum support. The soles were thick, the designs clunky, and the colors bland. They might have offered stability, but they also weighed her down, literally and emotionally. Walking across her living room, she could hear the heavy thud of each step, and with every stride came an ache in her knees and hips. What was supposed to protect her body was slowly wearing it out. The worst part wasn't just the physical discomfort. It was the way those shoes made her feel. Every time she dressed up for an outing, she would look down at her footwear and sigh. They didn't match the elegance of the rest of her outfit. Instead of feeling graceful, she felt frumpy, like her shoes were announcing her age before she even said a word. It was a quiet kind of discouragement, but one that ate away at her confidence. One day, while shopping with a friend, she decided to try something different. On the shelf sat a pair of low block-heeled shoes in a soft navy shade. They looked supportive, but also sleek and timeless. Hesitant, she slipped them on. The moment she stood up, she was surprised. They didn't pinch, they didn't wobble, they felt balanced. When she walked, there was no thud, no heaviness, just a natural stride she hadn't experienced in years. For the first time in a long time, she felt graceful again. That discovery opened a door. She began to explore other options: cushioned flats with flexible soles, stylish sneakers designed for walking, and ankle boots with sturdy heels. These weren't the clunky orthopedic shoes she thought she was doomed to wear forever. They combined comfort with elegance, reminding her that support doesn't have to mean sacrificing style. The change was more than physical, it was emotional. When she slipped into shoes that looked as good as they felt, she stood taller, moved with ease, and walked into rooms with renewed confidence. Friends noticed immediately. "You look different," one said. "Lighter on your feet." And she was. Not because she lost weight, but because she shed the burden of shoes that were holding her back. For the first time in years, Elarine walked with confidence, and without pain. That single shift gave her a new sense of freedom, as if the world had opened up again. She could stroll through the park, attend family gatherings, or simply move around her home without the constant reminder of discomfort dragging her down. And now I'll ask you, which of these steps feels the hardest for you: posture, color, or shoes? Let me know below. I read every comment. Sometimes, the smallest change under our feet is what lifts us the highest. Step 4: The wardrobe edit. When Elarine finally gathered the courage to open her closet with fresh eyes, she was overwhelmed by what she found. Row after row of clothes hung like a timeline of her life: dresses from weddings long past, skirts she once wore to the office, jackets that had been trendy decades ago, and pants that hadn't fit her in years. At first glance, it looked like abundance. But as she stood there, she realized it wasn't abundance at all. It was clutter, a silent weight from all the versions of herself she no longer was. For years, she had told herself the same thing so many women do: "I'll hold on to this, just in case she lost weight. Just in case the style came back. Just in case she needed something formal or professional." Yet those just-in-case scenarios never came. The truth was, every morning she opened her closet and saw reminders of the past: clothes that didn't fit, colors that washed her out, and styles that made her look older. Instead of inspiring her, they drained her. The turning point came when her granddaughter asked, "Grandma, why do you never wear the clothes in here?" It was an innocent question, but it struck deep. Why was she holding on to pieces that no longer represented her life? That was the moment Elarine decided her closet should reflect who she was now, not who she used to be. So, she began her wardrobe edit. At first, it wasn't easy. Each piece carried a memory: the dress she wore to her son's graduation, the blazer from her old job, the skirt that once fit perfectly. Letting go felt like letting go of parts of her history. But as she carefully released the pieces that no longer served her, something remarkable happened. With every hanger she cleared, she felt lighter. The space in her closet mirrored the space opening up in her mind. She didn't replace everything at once. Instead, she chose a few timeless, well-fitted staples: a pair of perfectly tailored trousers, a soft cashmere sweater, a crisp white blouse, and a versatile jacket that could be dressed up or down. She added a couple of scarves in jewel tones to bring life to her silver hair and a pair of sleek shoes that tied it all together. The result wasn't a giant wardrobe, it was a smart one. Every piece earned its place and worked easily with the others. The difference was stunning. Mornings no longer began with frustration over nothing to wear. Instead, she stepped into her closet and saw only items that fit her body, honored her style, and lifted her confidence. She didn't just edit her clothes, she edited her self-image. Clearing her closet felt like clearing her mind, space for who she was now, not who she used to be. And in that space, she found something even more valuable than fashion: freedom. Freedom to dress with ease, freedom to express herself, and freedom to finally embrace the woman she had become. Step 5: The self-care ritual. For most of her 60s, Elarine brushed off self-care as something unnecessary. She told herself, "I'm too old for all that now. What difference would it make?" Skincare bottles sat untouched on her bathroom shelf, collecting dust. Exercise routines felt intimidating, and journaling seemed like something for younger women with more free time. She convinced herself that tending to her body and spirit was indulgent, almost frivolous. But deep down, she wasn't neglecting her appearance, she was neglecting herself. The wake-up call came one morning when she caught her reflection in the harsh light of her bathroom mirror. Her skin looked dull, her energy felt low, and her mood was heavier than she wanted to admit. She realized that she had been treating herself like a background character in her own life, showing up for everyone else, but never for herself. That moment wasn't about vanity. It was about dignity. She knew something had to change. So, she created a self-care ritual that was simple, sustainable, and deeply nourishing. Every morning, before the demands of the day crept in, she gave herself 15 minutes, not for anyone else, but for her. She started with hydration, a cool splash of water followed by a gentle moisturizer that softened her skin and reminded her that she was still worthy of care. Then she moved her body, not with strenuous workouts, but with easy stretches, rolling her shoulders, circling her ankles, and breathing deeply as she welcomed the new day. Finally, she ended with 3 minutes of gratitude journaling. Sometimes she wrote about her family, other times about the peace of her garden or the comfort of her morning tea. This small ritual became her anchor. Within weeks, she noticed her skin looked brighter, her body felt looser, and her mind was calmer. More importantly, she noticed a shift in her spirit. By starting the day with care, she set the tone for how she moved through the world, more present, more confident, more alive. Her friends began to notice too. One asked, "What's your secret? You look so refreshed lately." Elarine smiled, knowing it wasn't about expensive creams or endless routines. It was about reclaiming the message she sent to herself each morning: "I matter too." She learned that caring for herself wasn't selfish, it was survival. Because when she filled her own cup, she had more joy, energy, and love to pour into the people and passions that mattered most. And in that daily ritual, Elarine discovered something beautiful. Aging gracefully isn't about trying to erase the years. It's about honoring them, with the care, respect, and dignity they deserve. Elarine's story is more than just about posture, color, shoes, a closet, or a morning ritual. It's about what happens when a woman decides that her best years are not behind her, but right here, waiting to be lived. Too often, women over 60 are told to fade quietly into the background, to stop experimenting, to stop caring, to stop expecting change. But Elarine chose a different path. She discovered that transformation after 60 has nothing to do with chasing youth, it has everything to do with stepping into your life with intention, dignity, and courage. Each of her 5 steps may have seemed small, almost insignificant at first. Standing taller. Adding color. Choosing lighter shoes. Editing her wardrobe. Starting a self-care ritual. But together, these shifts rebuilt her sense of self. They reminded her that beauty is not measured by decades, it's measured by the confidence with which you carry yourself. She didn't need to turn back time. She simply needed to show up fully as the woman she already was. The power of her journey is that it wasn't built on impossible promises or drastic overhauls. There were no extremes, no rigid rules, no expectation to erase the years from her face or body. Instead, it was about making choices that honored her present self, choices that supported her health, amplified her natural beauty, and gave her the energy to enjoy her life. She didn't become someone new. She simply peeled away the habits that were dimming her light. And that's why this matters for you, too. Whether you're 60, 70, or beyond, you are not stuck with the reflection you see today. With small, thoughtful steps, you can feel more alive, more confident, and more radiant than you have in years. The truth is, style and wellness aren't reserved for the young. They are the tools that let every woman, at every age, express her strength, her spirit, and her story. Elarine's journey proves something powerful. Transformation after 60 isn't about chasing youth. It's about choosing habits that let your true beauty and strength shine. 5 simple steps made her feel more alive than she had in decades, and you can take them too. So now I want to ask you, which of these steps speaks to you the most? Is it the way you carry yourself? The colors you wear? The shoes you walk in? The clothes you hold onto? Or the way you care for yourself each morning? Share your thoughts in the comments. I truly read them all, and your story may inspire another woman in this community. If even one of these steps sparked an idea for your own journey, give this video a like, share it with a friend over 60, and subscribe to this channel. Because every woman deserves to feel ageless, elegant, and unstoppable. And remember, the best chapter of your life doesn't begin with what you let go of. It begins with the courage to rise into who you already are.